When we get done today, I'm going to show you how to mute motherfuckers, and then you won't get so hot about it.
Okay. Well, it's been a long day, and we had a great show on Wednesday night. The Philadelphia crowd was just amazing.
Hey,
There was so much fun to work with and work for, and I thought the guys worked hard. Everybody's a booker, man. Everybody's a creative genius. Everybody's a booker. They got enough knowledge to be dangerous. And this is it's a very sensitive time in our business where all the information flow on social media gives people the right, in their view, to profess to be somewhat experts. You're not. You're a fan. So two things. You're not an expert. I'm an expert. You're not an expert. Conrad's an expert. So, but I'd like to meet that guy someday just to have a chat with him. Just say, hey, look, what is your problem? Do you understand the big picture of how to broadcast wrestling? I'm trying to give Jungle Boy Jack even more personality. He's going to be a player, man. And so, how long? What is he going to do when he's 35? Is he still going to be Jungle Boy, or Jungle Man, or Jungle Boy Jack? I don't know what he's going to be. But right now, in my mind's eye, I'm giving you all I can because I wanted to get him over, and that's what we did Wednesday night. Our goal is to create new stars and to get these guys over. Just like last week with that Joey Janela match with Kenny Omega that airs on the Dark Show, on the YouTube channel. They killed it, man. That was a pay-per-view level match. And then somebody said, well, JR, you called the match between Moxley and Pac, Kenny, and Hangman a main event. Yeah, I sure did. They're four of the highest paid guys in the company. They're four main event guys. And just because they didn't close the show doesn't mean they can't be considered as a main event, not the main event. So maybe you should listen. Get that adolescent earwax out of your ears and listen to what we're saying.
Oh,
thank you.
Hey, before we get you off your soapbox, do you have a strong opinion about millennials?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm just fucking with you.
Damn right.
This is so fun for me when one of my friends is fired up like this, and it feels like this will be a great spot to plug Blue Chew, but we're not going to. But what we are going to talk about today is Taboo Tuesday 2004. But before we do, I do feel like we should touch on at least one piece of news that I know everybody is talking about this week. Unfortunately, our old friend, Mr. Eric Bischoff, made some headlines this week when it was made public that he is no longer employed by World Wrestling Entertainment. When you saw that headline, you were probably on your way to Philadelphia or in Philadelphia. What was your reaction?
I was not surprised. The only thing that I would consider being surprised by was the time frame. It was certainly a direct, in my opinion. I may be wrong. I haven't talked to Eric. You're in communication with him, obviously, because you guys do a show, 83 weeks on the drops on Monday, I think.
That's right.
And I'm a fan of the show. I like Eric. Eric and I have had our differences over the years, but that ship sailed a long time ago. This whole scenario is set up for a succession process. Do you think that Bruce is safe? You think Bruce is got a job like a Supreme Court justice for life? Are you kidding? He don't think that. I guarantee he don't think that. He knows that his time will come. It's like football coaches. They get hired to be fired. And the guys in that position, like Bruce is in now with running SmackDown. Can you imagine a few years ago? Because I've been in these meetings, man. I've been with the old man when he's talked about Bruce and he's talked about Bischoff. And sometimes they weren't in glowing terms, just like he talked about me. I get it. So I'm not surprised at all. But I am surprised regarding the timeline. But for God's sakes, I didn't know that the Friday Night SmackDown show was going to lose 1 million viewers. From week 1 to week 2, you lose 1 million. I didn't expect that. So the calamity there, and of course Vince wants to keep Fox happy. I don't blame him. They got a lot of money and they got a lot of skin in the game. So have you talked to Eric?
Yes.
How's he doing?
I think he's probably a little shocked, but Eric is a man's man in that Eric ain't going to sell it. And, I'm sure we'll talk about it a lot this coming Monday on 83 Weeks and get his full take and whatever statement he wants to put out there. But I think a lot of people were caught off guard, certainly with the timing, but, if we know anything about Eric, it's that Eric knows how to find a way to land on his feet. And I'm pretty sure that's not going to change here.
No, I think he probably got a nice little package walking away. Vince will take good care of you when he's kicking you out the door. He'll give you something to go home with. He'll put something in your bag so you can to remember him, form of cash or some sort of payout. And he deserves that. But the way that this thing is set up, I knew when Eric got his gig and Heyman got his gig, that this is a whole departure from what Vince has had in the past. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Sometimes you got to reshuffle your deck and create a new structure. But the infrastructure there is a little sketchy at best. It's the last guy you talk to sometimes. There's a lot of mistrust, a lot of looking over your shoulder type situations, things that we don't have in AEW, thank God, at least not yet. And so Eric, you're right. Eric will land on his feet. He'll be just fine. And, I got all the confidence in the world in that deal, but he was a foil. He's the guy, he took the hit.
You and I even freestyled that. If you go back when we did an episode right after he was hired, one of us freestyled that, hey, do you think that maybe he was hired? So, you could sort of keep, stockholders who were concerned about
exactly
a weaker number or whatever. This is a recognizable name they could throw out, but also too, if they disappointed Fox and they did take a nail and Fox was maybe wondering, did we make a bad decision? This gives a way for them to sort of give them a head, with the idea being that if you fire a notable name, then it looks like, oh, they're making changes, but holy shit, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Vince is paying attention. He's going to be proactive. He's not going to let this thing get away from him, blah, blah, blah. Well, I know, I don't think that Fox wanted, now I might be wrong on this, Conrad, but I believe my belief is that Fox would have preferred to have Paul Heyman as their guy from the get-go. And I think they were a little bit surprised that they got Eric instead of Heyman. And I'm surprised that Vince made that call, quite frankly, because what investment do you want to really protect? I think the new one. This guy that put $1 billion plus in your pocket. And so having, Heyman could have interacted with those guys very well too. So would Eric. But it was whomever was going to get the gig, man, was going to keep it as long as the ratings are okay. They had a phenomenal first week, nice ratings. Congratulations to WWE for that. And then the bottom fell out. But that's not totally shocking. But the bottom line was somebody took the fall. I didn't think Vince would put a bullet in Eric that quick. But all those guys are in those top positions. None of them are going to need to buy houses. They should be renting. That's what Gorilla Monsoon told somebody one time. Some announcer named Charlie Min or Charlie something, Asian kid, thought he was Bob Costas. And Monsoon said, I got some advice for you, kid. What's that, Gorilla? And Gorilla says, first of all, it's Mr. Monsoon to you. And that is, you need to rent. You don't need to buy nothing here. So that's kind of what I feel with these guys. The job description you have is not one that lends itself to going on long searches for real estate. Something's going to give. And look, let's be honest about it. Do you think that when Vince finally is not in the picture, and God forbid that's anytime soon, I love Vince, I really do. We love hate, I get it. But when Vince is not around to steer the wagon, there's going to be a lot of changes there. There are going to be a lot of famous, well-known names that are in behind the scenes, in administration, in TV production, that their asses will be gone. Eric can always say, I was the first one out the door.